fantastic. We were training to go across the Elbe River, and we were doing that in Holland.
I see kids wear those.
And we'd go into Holland and under secrecy, under darkness and everything else. And then it was called Eikelshoven, Holland. And there was a saloon that had been on this corner, and now everything is bombed out, everything is dark. And so we would get our password, and then we would try to go to a civilian's home and get messages on the radio and stuff. And she would say, "Welcome back to Holland, men of the 84th Infantry Division." And she'd give us our whole thing. She said, "Now, boys, if you have forgotten what your password is," she would give us our password that we just got.
What did you need the password for?
No, she was a spy.
Yeah, she would know. Sarah, she would know their password.
And we'd have to.
She had a name. She was well known.
Yeah, that was Axis Sally.
Axis Sally.
And so it would demoralize these grown men that were much older than I, and they'd break down and start to cry, and she'd play Southern music, and these guys would just sob, especially this Belcraft. He was 38 years old, and he was married, and he had 3 children, and there I was just 20 years old, and I'm seeing all this, and I was over those people. They were in my squad, but when I got hit in Ball, Germany, on our way to the Rhine River, and so anyway, I escaped off that hill, and I was taken back into some bombed out area, and they put head bandages on me and poured salt on my wound, and so it was just a nightmare. But we were in this bombed out basement, and that's where I cracked a cartilage over my heart, is when they opened fire on me again. And I didn't have a helmet, I didn't have anything. I dove over this brick pile, and that's when I cracked the cartilage over my heart. And but I didn't know that at that time. And so these fellas, there were 12 of them in this bombed out basement. And this was all wood, and they said, "It's a GI, and he's been wounded." And so they pulled me through this window into this dirt basement, and they poured that sulfur on, and I didn't have any armor, I didn't have a helmet or anything. They put this head bandage on me, and I was having trouble talking coherently because like that, you couldn't open your mouth and talk.
Right, it was
right through here.
Dismissed it. Yeah.
So anyway, they put this head bandage on me, and then there were 13 of us with me. There were 12, and then I was 13. So they said, what we're going to do is we're going to go off of this hill, out of this basement, and go down this hill and try to get to cover. And so they said, we'll go at 10-yard intervals. And so they said, we'll put him in the middle, meaning me in the middle. So we took off. We'd wait till the guy got about 15 feet or so, or 10 yards from us, and then we'd take off. We'd do that so they wouldn't get us all at the same time. By the time we got to the bottom of that hill, I was from the middle. I was in the lead. That's how scared you go, and how you trying to get to survive.
Was it nighttime?
It was not at that time. So then we got into a bombed out building into the basement. That's the first thing you did, is you went underground as far as you could go. And anything because they were shelling all the time. And our people, our tanks they blew the pontoon bridges and everything, so we couldn't get our tanks there to help us. And we were really rather helpless. And so anyway, in came this officer, and I was in really bad shape. and I had this big bandage on, and I couldn't talk well. And so he came in, he said, son, and he was young himself, and he said, we're going to have to leave you. And I started to cry. And he said, we can't help it. You don't have anything. We can't. You've got to have medical attention and everything. So, and it was just pitch black. You look out here and you can see light even when it's dark, but there it was just completely black. You couldn't see anything. So he took me up to in this ground, and of course they put landmines down there, and they put booby traps, and you know all this when you're there, and that you people wouldn't realize. So he said, now you go that way. Here I'm out in the field, pitch black, nobody around me, no weapons. I don't know where I'm going, and I start crying. And I'd cry and I'd run. And I'd cry and I'd run. And pretty soon, I don't know how, you don't have any idea how far you've gone. But anyway, I evidently came over this crest of this hill and down to the road. Now, there's no light at all. It's just, everything is black. You can't see anything. But I could tell that I hit the road, and then all of a sudden, this voice came out, and they said, he's a GI, and he's been wounded. And those shutters came open on this building, and they came out and got me. And there was a medic there that had a Jeep,
Is that a good friend of
and he piled me into that Jeep and took me to a field hospital. But that was an experience that you'll never ever leave you. You just can't. And people can't.
Did you know
They
that was
can't
there?
visualize that because they weren't there. They don't know. But boy, I'll tell you, it's.
And how long were you at the field hospital? I mean, did you get then transferred
I was
home?
probably there for maybe 24 hours or so. And then they flew me to Liège, Belgium, which was the Battle of the Bulge. And that Brussels was completely, it was nothing but bombed out. There was nothing. It was terrible. So anyway, then from there, they flew me to Paris, France, and I was operated on a 62nd General Hospital again there, and then they sent me to England, and that was over a period of probably 3 weeks, and then I came back up to the front, and that's when I joined them on the other side of the Rhine River. And you can get all of this up on your computers.
This is.
But that was the 84th Infantry Division.
So I didn't realize that you got sent back to the front after that. So you didn't
Oh,
go,
yeah.
you didn't go directly home after that.
Oh, no. And I didn't go home for a long time. Now, what happened to me after our division came home,
You've probably seen her on, I'll show you other
I think it
pictures
was
of her.
December of 45. And
She was adopted.
anyway, it was in that area. I was
And,
transferred
you
out
know,
to the 4289th Railhead Company.
September 8th at 8
And I
o'clock on
was the
Sci-Fi.
non-com
It's
in
called The
charge
Two-Headed
of this
Shark
big,
Attack. Do you ever watch Sci-Fi?
I don't know how many
I don't
hundred
either, but I will that
even if
night.
it hit 1,000. But we had these big warehouses where we were feeding 60,000 troops and also some German civilians that they got. They worked in this big warehouse and terminal, and what they got for that was 1 meal a day. And some of these had been majors, some of them had been colonels in the German army, and one guy's name was Sundell, and the other one was Odovar, and one was a colonel and one was a
Did you know
major,
she had that?
and they were brilliant guys, and they would salute me and crack their heels, you know. If you
where
see
you were?
movies, that's the way the Germans operated. But anyway, I was just a kid. So I stayed over there, and they came to me and asked me if I would stay over for another year, and they'd send me to Seckenheim, Germany, and I would be commissioned a second lieutenant if I stayed over. I would have been a second lieutenant at the age of 20 years old. And here all these people have been at West Point for 4 and 5 years before they
It's my
ever
two
made
nieces.
a second
Florida.
lieutenant.
She's Florida, she's his
But I was only 20
psychiatrist
years
in,
old at the time. I said
Pennsylvania.
I wanted to come home.
sisters, and Frida. You remember Frida?
It didn't, after you were home for a couple of years, didn't you still have like shrapnel that would work through your
yeah,
bloodstream?
It got into the bloodstream,
Right.
and it would come out at different parts of my body,
Mm.
and they'd have to take those out.
What am I doing?
But yeah, it's quite a thing. But you know what bothers me, truthfully, is some of these. Everything is.
Do you know who that is?
What's the word I want to
Mark
say?
Walker.
Everything
You
is
know who that is?
chronologized. It's
No
it's
idea
there.
what
It's
it
not
is.
false.
Right.
And I've got these things that tell you all that in my discharges. But I had some medals that I would like to give to the children, to grandchildren and stuff. But you can't do that and eliminate anybody.
Oh, right,
And
right,
I
right,
wish
right.
that, but those will
We
be
could
the,
eliminate some of the other.
they'll be there. Yeah, they'll be there for somebody to
Just kidding.
have, you know.
Oh, we have that little boy dancing. I wanted to show